If you were to ask Carrie and a lot of the fans, New York City would be considered the fifth main character. Carrie talks about how much she loves the city, and the series ends with her returning. She dates New York. She's in love with New York. But I have a theory that the fifth main character is actually Carrie's apartment. And just like any other character, there's development, there's symbolism, and there's plot points. I couldn't help but wonder, what story does her apartment tell? Hello there and welcome to my channel where I analyze and talk about TV shows that I like. Around here, the curtain is blue for a reason. There's always a reason. Let's discuss. My working theory is that by focusing on Carrie's apartment and how other characters interact with her apartment, we can learn a lot and even see signs of what's to come. The show revolves around a basic formula that plenty of TV shows have: boyfriend of the episode. The boyfriends of each episode usually tell us a little bit more about the main characters, and then they disappear, never to be seen again. But what about the ones that stuck around for more than an episode? Those are the serious relationships, the ones that we constantly bring up whenever we talk about the main characters and their development throughout the series. If you invited someone over to your home and they immediately started critiquing your decorations and aesthetics, it'd be weird, right? This exact scenario is portrayed in media as a way of subtly telling us, hey, these characters don't mesh. The easiest example I can think of is in Beauty and the Beast. We already know Gaston isn't a match for Belle, but look how he just barges in, pushing her out of the way from the front door, tracking mud all throughout the house, and then putting his dirty boots on the table. Even children can immediately see, oh, this guy doesn't respect Belle. He must be the villain. Carrie invites Aiden over to her apartment a couple of times, but it isn't until this episode, season 3, episode 9, after they had been dating for a while and Big started missing Carrie, that Aiden said this: "You have cracks." Excuse me? The ceiling. How long have they been there? Just 3 years. Oh, just 3 years? Don't take this the wrong way, but this place needs a little work. You could do little things, plaster, strip the floors. You have no idea how beautiful it would be if we took it down a level. I don't know how to do that stuff. I do. Let me strip your floors. Isn't that a lot of work? No, it'll just take a day. You won't even know I'm here. And what ends up happening in the relationship? Aiden wants Carrie to be someone she's not. She struggles with them living together. She struggles with accepting the cabin life. She struggles with the idea of getting married to him. They never talked about kids, but Aiden ends up marrying Kathy, and they end up having 3 boys and living on a farm in Virginia, as we see in And Just Like That. Aiden wanted to mold Carrie into someone that was more compatible with him. A country wife who's eager to have kids and a farm. That's what he actually wants, but he struggles with going for what he actually wants and going for Carrie. He doesn't like going out to parties. We saw this when he declined going to that party on the boat in season 3, episode 8. And when they were engaged, he didn't want to go out to clubs. He doesn't care about fashion. He thinks Carrie's shopping is frivolous and useless. He likes eating KFC in bed. She likes sipping cocktails and smoking. That's another thing. He didn't like that she smoked either, but was willing to give her a shot if she quit. If Aiden viewed Carrie's apartment as something that could be fixed up and refined and cleaned up, what about the others? What about Alexander? He invites himself by surprising Carrie with ingredients that he's going to cook. His first comment is, "I have never made risotto in a frying pan before." I know this is a joke, by the way, but it's one of those half jokes because it gets followed up with, "Now we'll have espresso?" Oh, great, where? I don't have an espresso machine. And you call yourself a writer, yeah? Then, of course, the mouse incident, in which Alexander heroically kills it and later sets up traps for it. On the surface, it seems like he completely accepts Carrie's, flaws and all. I don't usually make my guests sit on the floor next to my stack of Vogues, which I ordinarily hide in the tub for company. And the walls. I love your house. It's so you. Small and artless? No. Warm and lovely. But as we saw throughout his time, on the surface he is pretty nice, but his actions say otherwise. On the surface he accepts Carrie, but he doesn't like New York. He's sick of it. He thinks Paris is the best city in the world. He leaves Carrie to hang out with his ex-wife, even though he was supposed to meet up with them. And in the end, ends up hurting Carrie physically. As with the apartment, the change is so lightning fast. Warm and lovely, then bam, flattened mouse. Carrie, I need you, I love you, then bam, physical assault. Blink and you nearly miss it. And listen, I get it, it's a New York City apartment, mice get in. It's not a wild or crazy storyline, but we have seen Carrie live in this apartment for 6 years at this point. She has smoked all day, every day in it, eaten Chinese food and KFC in bed, and now all of a sudden there's a mouse problem? The writers purposefully connected this storyline with Alexander for a reason, to show how quick things can turn, to show how fast a hand can be raised, and permanent damage can be inflicted. If you're from New York or live in New York, tell me honestly, have you ever killed a mouse with a frying pan in your home? Or did you just see a mouse and then set up traps and call an exterminator? It's a purposeful way of writing Alexander's character. And yes, even though he was only around for 2 episodes, he is an outlier and isn't technically a boyfriend of the episode. So let's talk about the politician. He doesn't make a direct comment about Carrie's apartment, but he just invites himself to Carrie's apartment and sits at her stoop as a way to try and get closer, invite her out to dinner, get her number, and all of that. The 2 episodes mainly focus on his political campaign, but then he reveals his secret. He's into certain kinds of showers. He hops into Carrie's shower, and Carrie realizes that she can't do it. She's not into it. Bill, can I talk to you about something? Honestly, I'm really not sure how comfortable I would be with that. You know, there's something I want to tell you too. Some people connected with the campaign read your column and they had a different take on it. What does that mean? They said it was funny and clever, but it was all about sex. They don't think it's such a good idea for me to be dating a sex columnist so close to the election. They thought it was kind of seamy. And bam, he breaks up with her right then and there while using her apartment, using her shower to try and get what he wants. When that's no longer an option, he immediately breaks up with her. To Bill, her apartment is just a tool that can be used to get what he wants and curry favor with who he wants. It's just another place for him, and Carrie's just another person. And what about Berger? We actually see Carrie and Berger spend about 50% of the time at her apartment and 50% of the time at his apartment. In her apartment, it's associated with conflict. Berger and Carrie not having a good sex life, then Carrie finding the post-it note. Berger doesn't say a single thing about Carrie's apartment, which wouldn't be that crazy, except in season 6, episode 3, Carrie reacting to Berger's apartment was a whole thing. Nothing in here says scary bachelor. Except me. Hey, I really like this wall color. Yeah, I can't take credit for that. That's Lauren. Oh, that's my sound machine. I'm a troubled sleeper. Kinda hooked on it. Frogs? Yeah, it's the Gettys. Always wondered who bought those. Actually, it was a gift. Oh, from, yeah, Lauren. It was her therapist's idea. Lauren always did everything her therapist told her to. This turns into a whole thing this episode about how basically every single thing in Berger's apartment comes from Lauren. Even the answering machine has Lauren on it. His entire apartment is Lauren. He goes on and on and on about her, about how she always listened to whatever her therapist told her, double flipping her off on the answering machine. Carrie got sick of hearing about her. When it came to Berger's apartment, it was constant comments, but with Carrie's apartment, silence, which reminds me of how they broke up. He comes over to end the week-long break that they just had. They spend the night together, and Carrie wakes up to silence. He's just gone. This silent moment seriously encompasses the relationship. When Carrie pointed out a minor thing in Berger's book, the back and forth lasted the entire episode, as if Berger wished Carrie would have just stayed silent. The very next episode, Carrie receives a big royalty check and shows it off, as she should, only to later learn that Berger lost his job. Berger never said anything to me, and I'm running around buying him shirts and shoving my big check in his face. God, I feel awful. Why did I have to parade in and brag about that check? So what now? Should I tell him I know? Or should she just stay silent? It was all kind of foreshadowed. But what about with Big, the biggest relationship of them all? Season 1, episode 11, Big comes over to Carrie's apartment for the first time ever. Wow, so this is where you live. It's nice. Very nice. No, it's not. It's a mess. The floors need to be stripped and the curtains are... I want to change a lot of it. I don't know. I like it. I like it the way it is. I know Big isn't very good with his words, but you can see by his facial expressions and body language he does actually like the apartment. I've discussed in other videos about how Big is constantly struggling with being with the type of women he's supposed to be with, like Barbara and Natasha, and being with Carrie, who is in a different class and doesn't fit in with his circles, and her apartment isn't some pristine, luxurious penthouse that's beige and doesn't have a speck of dust anywhere in sight. Big can see all of her books, the art she likes hung up, newspapers and magazines that she likes to read scattered all over. It's authentic, it's genuine, and this is what Big likes about Carrie. And one could argue that he was just being nice here, and it's possible because they did just have an argument. But I have found that when it comes to Big and the area around him, he's pretty vocal. "Ugh, it smells like takeout curry in here," he says with a grimace. "And maybe I hog my bed, but I mean it's my bed and I like you in it. And the oranges have got to go. This is something I don't like about you. I hate that you eat oranges in my bed. They're sticky and they make the sheets stink. I like my sheets. Everything in my apartment is now beige. Beige is bullshit. I thought you wanted beige." Yeah, well, it doesn't quite fit. He's almost a little prissy, actually. So I think if he said he likes Carrie's apartment just the way it is, he meant it. And we can see that all throughout the series, they get back together, they break up, they have an affair, blah, 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 blah. He can fight it all he wants, but unfortunately, he has to admit that she is his type. Not Barbara, not Natasha, and not anybody that fits that type. It's Carrie. And let's not just talk about the boyfriends. A lot of fans absolutely love the first few seasons of the show because we can see the girls hanging out a lot, and some of the best hangouts were at Carrie's apartment in the first 2 seasons. However, as they eventually get long-term partners, get married, start having kids, we see them at Carrie's apartment less and less. The girls always treated Carrie's apartment as a fun place to hang out, a place to bond with each other, but seeing them spend less time in the apartment was the show trying to tell us that they were starting to distance themselves a little bit. Charlotte started putting in more time and effort into finding the perfect husband. Miranda started getting way busier at work as she made partner and was genuinely trying to have a long-term relationship with Steve, then Dr. Robert. And Samantha had her own long-term relationships with Maria, Richard, and Smith. Plus, she became Smith's PR rep and then had to deal with her cancer. Less time spent in Carrie's apartment was symbolic that they all just had their own lives to deal with. I know that New York City is so monumental in this show. It's called Sex and the City for a reason. I get that. But Carrie's gorgeous rent-controlled apartment is used as a narrative device so often, I really think it deserves to be a 5th main character. And honestly, I want to do some research on the background props, like all of the books Carrie has on her shelf, because the set is designed and decorated a very specific way for a very specific reason. It was a whole team that worked on things like this, and I'm sure this apartment has more story to tell us. With that said, thank you so much for watching. Of the 4 apartments that we see throughout the show, whose apartment was your favorite? Do you think their homes were indicative of their personality or their overall character arcs? Let me know in the comments, and if you have a suggestion for the next video, feel free to leave that in the comments as well. Thanks so much for watching. See y'all next time.